Today's story is about a medieval knight who started out waving flags for Joan of Arc and ended up, well, doing things I legally can't describe in too much detail without sticking a caution label on this video. Gilles de Rais was once considered a hero of France, decorated soldier with a noble family. But then he took a detour, straight into the worst game of what happens if we bin off basic human decency and let a man with too much money and zero oversight run wild. Imagine you're a servant in 15th century France. You've survived war, famine, and whatever passed for medicine back then. You finally get hired by a powerful lord, rich, well connected, throws grand parties. But something's off. Not in a he eats with his hands sort of way, more in a why does he have a private chapel, an alchemist on retainer, and a weird obsession with candles and screaming sort of way. That lord was Gilles. Full name, Gilles de Montmorency-Laval, Baron de Rais. Proper posh, you know? Born in 1405 into a family so wealthy they probably had gold leaf on the toilet seats, if they'd had toilets. He became a knight, fought alongside Joan of Arc, and swung swords like a hero every war story needs. He was made Marshal of France, top military honour. So far, so noble. But after the war ended, he didn't exactly settle into a quiet retirement. He started bleeding his fortune dry on bizarre theatre shows, private choirs and massive pageants where he'd cast himself as the star. One production alone reportedly had hundreds of extras and enough costumes to clothe a small town. He paid for all of it. Bit like if Andrew Lloyd Webber also fancied himself as a bit of a messiah. As the cash vanished, Gilles turned to the next logical step, demon summoning. Obviously, he hired an Italian occultist named Francois Prelati, who claimed he could conjure a demon called Baron in exchange for treasure. Not even subtle about it, just straight up, let's make a deal with hell and see if we can top up the bank account. So, they start doing rituals. You've got candles, Latin chants, pentagrams, goat's blood, and Gilles shouting into the void like those demons that owed him rent. The worst part? Some of these ceremonies reportedly involved child sacrifice. That's not exaggeration either, that's straight from the court records. Now, Gilles had a few loyal servants. One of them, Henriette, later said they lured dozens, maybe hundreds of children to the castle. Mostly young boys, some as young as 6. They were promised jobs, food, a better life. What they got instead was Gilles, and once they were inside those walls, they never came back out. Not whole, anyway. Imagine working for this man. You think you've made it, your parents are proud of you, landed a job in the big castle polishing silverware. Next thing you know, you're waist deep in bones, watching your employer trying to summon wealth through murder and Satan. No amount of hazard pay covers that sort of trauma. Witnesses describe how Gilles took pleasure in it, sometimes acted calm, sometimes excited. They said he treated it like art, dressing the children in fine clothes before the killings, sometimes mocking them, other times praying over them, not out of remorse, just ritual. Evil doesn't always look like a frothing lunatic. Sometimes it wears silk and pretends it's doing theatre, and it wasn't even the murders that got him caught. He kidnapped a church official during a petty land dispute. That was the dumb move that finally got the Bishop of Nantes involved. Once they started digging into Gilles' affairs, it all unravelled. Disappearances, eyewitnesses, shallow graves. It turned out that the terrifying rumours weren't just gossip, they were an understatement. He was arrested in 1440, tried by both church and state. The trial was massive. Witnesses, confessions, servant testimonies. Gilles eventually confessed himself, whether out of guilt, pressure, or because he finally realised the game was up. His own words chilled the courtroom. He described his crimes in detail. No excuses, no real defence. He asked to be forgiven and to die as a Christian. He was hanged and then burned. The death of a knight who stood beside Joan of Arc, reduced to ash and shame. A man remembered not for the battles he won, but for the children he destroyed. Some say he went mad. Some say the trauma of war, the loss of purpose, the unchecked wealth, it all warped him. Others say he was evil from the start. I honestly don't know which is worse. Either way, the man went from hero to horror story in record time. If you wrote it as fiction, you'd be told to tone it down. So yeah, Gilles de Rais, the war hero who turned to hell for help and dragged far too many innocent lives down with him, makes every villain you've ever read about feel like a pantomime baddie in comparison. Let me know what you reckon in the comments. Was Gio just completely mad, or did power and privilege twist him into an Epstein monster? And on a scale of 1 to satanic alchemy, how bad is your financial planning looking now? If you made it through that without immediately tuning out, hit like and subscribe for more grim history that'll leave your jaw on the floor and your faith in humanity in the bin. See you in the next one.